Hello, and welcome to another episode of Dr. Bill Speaks. This will be our fifth video in our spiritual journey, and we will continue our discussion on love today. Love will be the center of the topic for many more of these videos. And one of the reasons we want to talk about love is because God is love. To understand God, we need to understand love. And to understand love, we need to understand God. Not the things that people say about God, but when through our prayer and meditation, we come to know God for ourselves. See, yes, we can, just as the prophets and sages have speak with God, so can each and every individual do so. You don't have to be a pastor or a bishop or anything to converse with God. It just means that we have to take the time and the patience and the understanding and the desire to learn to love according to God's only laws. And we come face to face with God. You see, we have the laws, of course, in our belief system, the world laws and rules and regulations and all of these different rules and all make great promises that they never fulfill. When we see the world and look at what is really the result of our living in the world laws, all we see are wars, all we see are fights. We see this group against that group, white against blacks, straight against gay, just all kinds of divisions and diseases and death, conflict, everything but love. You see, love is that unifying force. We need to understand what it is and what it is not. Last week we talked about one of the things that kept us from loving self was guilt. You see, guilt burns a hole in our soul when we hold on to it, and we've been made to believe that we should be guilty because of our sins. But sins are not of God. God did not create sin. God created us in His image and created us love. So this is why Jesus keeps telling us, and not just Jesus, but others, you have to come to know yourself if you want to have that relationship with a power greater than yourself. You can't do it by listening to the Pharisees. I'm sorry, or the political system or the economic system. They promise us stuff, but all they give us is stuff. That's the another thing that keep us from being able to love ourselves, because we spend our lives in pursuit of stuff that we don't need, stuff that we can do without. But our lives are full with love of stuff. And when we love stuff, we can't love self. You see, they promise us if we eat the right food or say the right things or wear the right clothes or drive the right car and live in the right house, that we'll be happy, joyous, and free. But instead, when we get the right car, in another year or two, it's not good enough. You see, what we fell in love with was not the car, but the excitement in getting it, because we were being rewarded by our reward system for being obedient to the belief system. See, the belief system, as we say, is designed to keep in power those who created the belief system. And yeah, we can work hard and make a lot of money, and buy more stuff. See, we have to learn, in order to love ourselves, not to value the valueless. We have to value our souls. Look at this. if someone drop $1 million right in your living room right now, and if you let that $1 million sit there and don't touch it, it won't touch you. If you let that $1 million put it on an island somewhere, and you come back years later, it'll just be dry rotted paper. In and of itself, it has no value. The value that money has is only the value that we give it. We give the value to money, and then we work to get that value. There's nothing but an illusion, because in and of itself, it has no value. You take all the gold in the world and just sit it down. And once again, if you don't bother it won't bother you. But if we give it value, then we would expend our time and energy and our efforts towards obtaining that. And it's just most stuff. You know, we got a system where they say, well, we got this stuff over here, we're gonna call it money. And if you get enough of that stuff, you can bring it over here and buy some of my stuff. You know, and I'll take that money and go buy some more stuff. You know, so we just fill the world up with our work and our expenditure of energy, building more and more stuff, making stuff more and more attractive to us, so that we buy more and more stuff. The energy and the efforts and the sacrifices that we make to get more stuff is what we call worship. We worship our stuff. I mean, we have the stand your ground law. So if somebody try to steal some of your stuff, you could take their life. See, you value your stuff over someone's life. You know, you value your stuff over your own peace of mind. You value your stuff more than you value your relationship with God. You see, when we talk about stuff, don't forget the stuff that you have to do to get that stuff that has no value, in order to use it to buy stuff that you don't need. Like right now, whoever's listening or viewing this video, if they never went to the mall again, they wouldn't miss a thing. They would still have everything they need. Because you see, God promises us that we will have what we need. But what the belief system promises us is we'll get you what you want. See, so rather than wanting to love ourselves and love God and love neighbors, we love stuff. Stuff becomes our idol. We accumulate more and more stuff. And as a matter of fact, we got so much stuff in America that we have to build storage units in order to store our stuff. We want to hoard our stuff. We just believe in our stuff. We want to make sure our stuff is staying in proper order. You know, we do what we have to do to protect our stuff. We do what we have to do in order to amass new stuff. See, when the old stuff gets too old, oh no, can't have that old stuff. I got to go get some new stuff. We'll take that old stuff and trade it in or give it away or burn it up or whatever. But now we start the cycle all over again. I got the new stuff. I like this new stuff. Oh, this is a Porsche car. Or this is a plastic leather living room set. This is an awesome jacket or coat. It's just more stuff. You see, Jesus once said to us that we cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve wealth and God. And what he called wealth was a system of stuff. You know, stuff. I mean, we live in a nation that goes around the world taking other people's stuff. Oh, well, we got a lot of cars. We want to keep gas cheap. So let's go get some of that stuff. and use it on our stuff to keep our stuff going so we could go back and forth to work, get more stuff called money, so we could buy another car, a bigger car, with the stuff that we got called money. So, in order to be able to keep going in a circle, in a cyclical motion, getting more and more stuff. And we don't take time to pray and meditate. Jesus and others say that the kingdom of God is within. See, we have been created, our souls were created by God in the image of God. And God is love. So we were created love. And we have that love in us. But we've covered it up with so much stuff. We've worshiped so many idols that we don't even know how to even access the love that's in us. See, if we can access the love that's in us, that God extends to every living being, and we can, rather than utilizing these bodies that we have to get stuff for the body, if we can just utilize them to extend our stuff, our love, I'm sorry about that, we extend our love all around us. But in order to extend the love, we got to first have the love. And we do have it. But now we got to accept that we're not sinners. We're not guilty. We're not horrible creatures. We are spiritual creatures. And we're in a physical body. The body was made by the world. And that's I know a long discussion ago. We've been brainwashed to say that, well, God created man, but no. God created souls in eternity. And eternity is not time and space. Eternity is not matter. God created spiritual energy. And that energy is in us. We've just got to learn to take the time to slow down, stop, look, and appreciate the gifts that God has given us. If we look at the parable of the son, after he had spent everything, lost everything on righteous living, as he said, buying and selling and whatever he had to do, and ended up in the hog pen. It says that he came to his right mind, not the mind that the world had made, but his right mind, and realized that when he was home with the Father, that everything he had was from the Father, and it was everything he wanted. So he made that decision, I'm going back to the Father. And that's the decision that each of us have to make. We have to make the decision to go back home, to go back to the Father. And it begins with the very first step, with realizing that all the stuff that they've taught us is wrong, that it is hard to accept, but that we have to relearn, well, first of all, unlearn what we have learned, so we can begin to relearn. And relearning began with when Jesus said, the greatest commandments of all is to love God with all our heart, mind, soul, etc., and energy. And the second, which is unto it, is to love ourselves in a way that you're love our neighbor in the way that we're loving self. And upon these two laws hang all the laws and prophets. You see, living under God's law is a matter of learning to love. And that's just a matter of decision and practice. Spirituality is a practice. So in order to practice this, I'd like to just give you this for all this week, for a while. Just look at all your stuff and say, what is its real value? And say to yourself, I will not value the valueless. I will value God and the love of God. Thank you, and have a good day. Until next time.